Hi everyone, it's Chris and welcome to Firms Consulting channel. Make sure you subscribe. We post a lot of videos on how to prepare for case interviews, and of course we post a lot of videos on how to be a successful consultant and how to be a successful executive. So don't miss out. Make sure you subscribe. Okay, so today we're going to talk about how consulting firms actually screen consulting resumes. So when consulting firms receive your resume, the first thing they're going to do is they look at the format of your resume. If your resume is in the wrong format, what it does is two things. One, it basically distracts a reviewer from important information on your resume because they immediately see it's in the wrong format and they may not even look further. The second thing is it immediately gives impression that the person obviously not networking in the right circle, they don't have friends within consulting firms, within major schools who could point them in the right direction. They didn't do their research. Given there is internet and it's available for free, obviously you are expected to actually know the format in which your resume should be in. So make sure your resume is in the right format. It's usually a one-page resume. You can take a look at the format on our website, firmsconsulting.com. I will include a link down below so you can take a look at what the right format actually looks like and copy it and do not invent something. The second thing that they're going to screen is your education. So for example, if you went to Stanford, the interviewer knows that you went to a great school and you are probably a good candidate worthy to consider. But if you didn't go to a good school, this doesn't necessarily mean that you're a bad candidate. You just have to convince interviewer that you are worthy to consider. Many people assume that only people from Ivy League schools can get into McKinsey, BCG, Bain, Deloitte, and so on. This is not true. Especially when it comes to undergraduate degrees, you actually have a chance to get in, provided you have other important elements on your resume that kind of scream you are a good candidate and they should invite you for an interview. So the reviewer will take a look at your school. If your school is great, your grades are great, thumbs up. They will also take a look whether you have any scholarships that you won. Those things are always show that you are a person with a track record of accomplishment. For example, it's very good to have something like a scholarship for academic achievement. It immediately shows that you're a person with a track record of accomplishment. The reviewer will also firstly look at your postgraduate grades, then your undergraduate grades. Postgraduate grades actually will carry more weight if you have postgraduate degree. If you do not have postgraduate degree, then your undergraduate degree becomes more important. Next, they're going to look at where you worked. The first thing they're going to look at who you worked for. What is the name of the organization? If it is a very big brand, then it's obviously going to be good for you. Well-known organization that has a reputation for doing amazing work and churning out amazing executives that go and become CEOs, going to look very good on your resume. Next, we're going to look at how long you worked for that organization. If you worked, let's say, for GE for 2 months and it was an internship, it's much less impressive than if you worked there for 3 years and you got promoted well ahead of your peers. And finally, the reviewer will look at the bottom of the resume where you basically include other information. So for example, used to represent Russian Federation as a concert pianist. Things that are not exactly related to your education or relevant work experience, but they show something about you that is particularly important for your application. And what is important in this section is this is usually where you will have a spike. This is where you usually can communicate. What is a spike? And the spike in consulting is basically one thing that people will remember about you. So for example, when I was interviewing, one thing that people tend to remember about me that I used to be a concert pianist and I used to represent Russian Federation when I was 13 and so on, traveling outside of Russia. I went to Bulgaria, Germany, Czech Republic, France. So from top of your resume, you have your address, your name, your phone number, and then we have your education, then we have your work experience, and then we have your other section where you can include some other details about you that help make you stand out as opposed to other candidates. So now that we had a very good overview of what your resume should include, now let's ponder on some things that you should keep in mind as you're working on your resume. First thing I want to say is make sure that you do not worry too much if you didn't go to Ivy League school. It is not true that you cannot get an interview without having a great school on your resume. Especially if you have very good grades, you actually in a very good place and you have a good shot at getting an interview. When you write about your work experience, make sure that you actually include a lot of details. People who actually follow our podcasts and videos will know that Michael always talks about it, that you have to include a lot of details. When it comes to your resume, make sure you include words like led, analyzed, and include a lot of details, specific details, specific numbers. And in this section, make sure that you do not describe something that is your normal job description. If you just did what you were hired to do, what everyone else, an average employee did, then it is not good enough to include on your resume. It has to be something that goes above and beyond what you were supposed to do, and it has to be something that positions you as someone who is top performer, because that's what they're looking for, right? They want to hire people who are not average, who actually aim way above average. Also, do not include things like clients try to hire me. It just doesn't look good. We've seen something like that a couple of times, and it just does not position you right. If you have to include it on your cover letter, but not on your resume. Now, between experience and additional data, you can have a section called publications. If you actually published something before, you can include it there. And then we come to that last section, which is also very, very important and should not be ignored. You should invest a lot of time in that last section. And there, make sure you don't include things like I like to travel, I like to cook, I like to go out. Those things are very superficial. They do not belong in that section. You only can include something that is something unusual, something stand out, something well above and beyond what is average. So, for example, you cannot even include things like backpack through France or backpack through Thailand, because this is not something special. This is not something that other candidates are not able to do. So it does not position you the right way. It does not indicate that you have what it takes to be an outstanding management consultant. You also cannot say things like I play sport. So many people play sport. How often do you play? Do you play once a week? Do you play once a year? Do you play once a month? Is it in a competitive environment? At which level are you playing? Having said all that, the things that really make you stand out is the school you went to, what were your grades, where you worked, and what you were able to accomplish for that employer or employers. Finally, I have two last thoughts for you. One is, as you write your resume, keep in mind that you are competing with other candidates. You're not competing with your resume. You cannot say, oh, this resume is so much better than I used to have. You need to compare it to resumes of other candidates who will be submitting applications and competing for the same interview spot that you want. And second thing, it's very helpful if you have maybe a year before you need to apply, and that is something we call the future resume. So if you have a year to prepare, what I want you to do is think about your weaknesses. Think about what consulting firms want to see on your resume and what are your weaknesses. So for example, imagine you do not have quantitative background and you're concerned that this will be an issue. So what can you do? Okay, so maybe you can spend a few months, prepare for GMAT and write a GMAT and include a GMAT score on your resume that will show that you are actually good at quantitative stuff. Or you can take a quantitative course or couple of courses during this year until you need to apply. So write your resume the way you want it to look in 1 year. The way you want your resume, the ideal resume you can have 1 year from now, write it now. And then work towards it to accomplish the things to justify that resume. And obviously you can change things before you're applying if you will not be able to achieve certain things. But aim high, write that resume now and work backwards to see what you need to do during that year to actually accomplish things to be able to have that resume. And actually there's one more thing. Remember that writing your resume is really an ongoing iterative process. It's not something that you can do over the weekend. It's not even something you can do over 1 or 2 weeks. You have to do it over and over and over many times to actually get to a good resume. And one thing to keep in mind is we get so many emails and requests from people saying, can you write a resume for me? And obviously we cannot do that. No one can do it. Only you can write a great resume, because only you know what experiences you have. Only you know. So no one can write a better resume than you. When people reach out to us asking to help them with a resume, we always tell them that no one can write a better resume than you can. It's really that simple. Only you can do that. And what we recommend is, obviously, don't do it by yourself. Follow a lot of guidance and then apply it to your specific situation, your specific experience. And keep on rewriting and rewriting and rewriting. Expect to do at least 17 versions of your resume, minimum, absolute minimum, usually more, before you get a really good resume. And the absolute best advice I can give, if I was writing my resume now and I didn't know what I know, I would use the consulting offer. It's a program that we offer. It's actually so in-depth. You cannot believe how in-depth it is. It will take you months and months and months to actually go through all the candidates, all the seasons that we have. But you also can go through only some of them if you have limited time. But basically what it does is it takes you step by step by step by step through everything. Editing your resume, preparing for cases, preparing for fit, preparing for networking, and so on. And as you go through the consulting offer, I want you to actually have a printout of your resume, make a lot of notes with a red pen. Then you finish a session, you make the changes, you make another printout, you do another session on resume editing, maybe with another candidate, maybe with the same candidate, and you do the same thing. You make a lot of notes and you do it over and over again. Be ready for the fact that you will have to work hard to make it a good resume. It's not going to be easy, it's going to be hard. If it was easy, then everyone will be successful. It's not easy, things are not easy. So be ready for it, but it will be fun. And you know what? You will enjoy it. It will be a resume that you can use for the rest of your life. You can just adjust it a little bit. It's a resume that you will put on your LinkedIn profile. And as you continue working through your resume, actually print it out, put it on your refrigerator or somewhere where you can see it every day. And every time you look at it, you think of something, make a note. You go through the consulting offer session, you make a note, you continue working on it. And even when you feel it's ready, if you still have some time before you need to submit it, continue working on it. Thank you very much for watching this video. Hopefully it will be helpful. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. If you like this video, please click on the like. This way I know that you guys actually liked it. And post a comment if you have any questions, if you have any suggestions on what kind of videos we should post, or even if you just want to share your experience. We love getting comments from you guys, and we will be happy to answer your questions, and we will be happy to engage with you and learn about your experiences and learn about what kind of videos you would like us to do in the future.